played. You haven't heard this one yet.
Okay, let's go, Jon Jaffe.
Dan's got 5%, so you can really feel the pain with me. 3 of diamonds, 6 of clubs.
So far, so good.
Then the turn comes an 8 of clubs.
Okay. Oh, John, you're in trouble. So you went all in?
I checked.
Okay.
All right. We're here in Jeju, South Korea, where I'm about 3/4 done with my Triton series, and you're somewhere around the halfway mark. But this has been a long trip for you because you came and played the last couple Poker Dream, and then you've got PLO. Is there short deck in the series?
There is short deck. I believe there's 3 tournaments. It's back for the first time in a while. There's quite a bit of poker left for me.
Is this like a farewell tour for short deck, like a reunion for the boys?
Well, it's definitely a reunion. As far as farewell, we'll see. Hopefully it picks up again. I think that with a few tweaks to the game, it can actually become really good again and maybe draw some people in.
We'll see about that. By we, I mean you, because I don't give a fuck about short deck. On to more somber topics. When I asked you for this conversation yesterday, I wanted to ask about bricking a series. And, you and I have done very poorly this series. I have a min cash in 15K. Do you have anything?
I have 0 caches. I do have 1 stone bubble and another softish bubble. The stone bubble I did to myself, so...
Well, nice job. If you
Thank
want to
you.
learn how to stone bubble, check out Dan's videos on gtolab.com. But yeah, no, seriously, the thing about these series are no matter how rational you are, and I think for a lot of people, it's WSOP. That's the series they look forward to all year. Some people go out for the whole series, and everyone dreams of winning a bracelet. No one dreams of being 0 for 18, midway through the series, but we know it's a very realistic possibility. So I kind of want to talk about expectations versus reality, how you recalibrate, how you do the things you know you're supposed to, and kind of stay in form when nothing's going your way.
Well, the first thing I would say is if you're running into expectations versus reality sort of dissonance halfway through a trip, because let's say you bricked 12 bullets in a row or something like that, which is probably roughly where I'm at currently, chances are you had the wrong type of expectations or you shouldn't have set expectations at all. Because if you're expecting to have won something by now or have, you had a few deep runs or like a final table by now at least, that's not really the type of expectation you should set, or at least the type of expectation that I set for myself. I try to go into it with a plan of how I'm going to execute, how I'm going to make decisions. And if my initial expectations and goals are tied to results, then yeah, when the results suck, your state's going to suck. So set better expectations.
So I'm with you, not to, be too full of ourselves, but I do think I kind of follow in your footsteps on being pretty good at losing, in terms of handling it pretty well and mostly just saying, look, that's the reality of this business. If you're a tournament player, you're going to lose so many times. So I think we're both pretty good at busting with a smile on our face, or at least not a lot of anger or frustration, and just saying, yep, felt pretty good about my play. And going into this conversation, I was thinking, this is going to be tough because you and I are both really good at handling loss. And so we're maybe not the best people to help others who feel it a little bit more strongly. But then yesterday I had an experience of playing quite shitty and being very frustrated at myself. So now I get to actually splay myself and hear some advice that is real talk. Tell you a hand that I played. You haven't heard this one yet.
Okay, let's go, Jon Jaffe.
Dan's got 5%, so you can really feel the pain with me. So here's the hand. It goes Ponikov's opens low jack, Kulev flats cutoff. We are 90 deep, Ponikov's and I, for the relevance here. I call big blind with king 7 of clubs.
So far, so good. You're doing great, John.
Excellent. Flop is queen 6-3, queen and 3 of diamonds, 6 of clubs. I check. Alex bets 33%, a little under, maybe 30. Kulev folds. I feel pretty good about this being a fold, so I call.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know me. I'm going to make this call a lot. I'm not too stressed about it. I feel pretty good that it's a fold.
Wait. Say how big is the bet again?
30 to 33%. He
I
bets
mean,
6,500 into 20.5.
okay. So yeah, those types of spots, like right away, that's probably the flop spot's not your question.
No.
But those types of things, people get really worked up about them. But the reality of it is, if the bet is small enough, at a certain point, it becomes a call.
Yeah.
If he bet 20% of the pot, let's say, of course, you peel with two overs to the six and a backdoor flush draw and some semblance of a Jon Jaffe semblance of a backdoor straight draw. And yeah, B33 is a little bit big.
I like this. You're trying to feel
But
good about your investment. That's great.
yeah, this is just self-soothing.
Yes, yes. Then the turn comes an 8 of clubs.
Okay. Oh, John, you're in trouble. Okay.
Yeah, well, I check,
Okay.
and Alex bets B125.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, we didn't call King 7 of clubs to fold when we turn a flush draw.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably an accurate assessment. But I also called. I told myself, look, you beat 4-5 suiteds. You beat 9-7 of diamonds. You beat 10-9 suiteds, of which there's probably only diamonds and clubs. You beat Jack 10s.
Yeah,
They're
you lose
probably
to
all
some
gonna
of his
bluff me out.
bluffs, but
That's what I missed out on. Is I said, okay, look, you're losing to ace high flush draws. The real pain came on the reveal. The river is.
Wait, so you called?
I called.
Okay, so it just so I'm following along. So it's low jack, cutoff, big blind, and it is queen, 6, 3, 8.
Yep.
Okay.
Queen and 3 of diamonds, 6 and 8 of clubs.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, we're not going to spend too much time on the strategy here because I want to kind of build into something else.
Mhm.
But river is an offsuit 4 or 5. I believe it's 4.
Mm-hmm.
I sit there thinking, sure, you're not going to have many king highs here. Your 4-5 suited made a pair. That wouldn't need to do any kind of bluffing, but also clubs just seem terrible to bluff, and there's no interesting leads here. If there's anything, it's B10 or B20, and
Mm-hmm. So you went all in?
I checked. And he checks back quickly. And then I saw the real pain, which was King of Hearts, 10 of diamonds, which seems kind of reasonable, but
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't on my radar, and yet it also immediately seemed reasonable. It wasn't like, oh, he has a hand that makes no sense. I was like, oh, fuck, I was losing to more than just ace-high flush draws and king 10 of diamonds. Like,
Yeah.
There's one diamond hands that crush me. There's maybe some one club hands that crush me. And that was painful because the other part of that reveal is, look, River King, he takes a lot of chips from me. This,
Yeah.
in my head, I was like, oh, this will be beautiful. I can big kings and just kind of crush him too. Anyway, point is, like, Alex and I have a great rapport. I love chatting with him at the table. And I was just like mute for 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
He even knew it. He didn't say anything to me. I think Kulev turned around, only caught the showdown, and he was just like, oh, it looks like someone played something bad. those hands are not supposed to show down.
At least one of you messed this up.
Yeah, and I was like, that was this fucking guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I felt like shit about it. And I don't feel like it affected my play the rest of the day. I could be wrong about that, but I felt pretty good about my play for the most part. There was another hand I butchered, but I don't really relate it. But yeah, the point is, I went to bed pretty pissed off last night, and I was oscillating. It was kind of like that flight or fight where I would be like pretty pissed off at myself, wanted to be angry with myself, wanted to kind of punch the wall, and then being like, bro, it's just a game. You make mistakes. You're not the best player in the world. You've played fine most of the series. Like one other hand I was pretty perturbed about the whole series. Get over it. And I just want to like completely put it away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a middle ground is what's truly healthy. I think about Ike talking about be curious. Look up your hand, but don't just try to fix that mistake. Try to understand what are the general concepts I missed. Maybe there are, just some heuristics about having, low showdown value flush draws on the turn that I, could delve into and get better. And I was like, fuck this. I'm not curious right now. I'm pissed off. And I didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I am curious, but I didn't want to look into it.
Right.
So with me kind of fucking myself up yesterday and thinking I was pretty strong and handling all these losses pretty well, what do you got for me?
So the first thing that I have for you is you should be angry at yourself for that hand. That's a good response. I think there's a very acute and nuanced sort of difference between handling bust outs or just bubbles or being eliminated from the tournament well versus handling playing poorly well. Those are very different things. I think handling losses, yeah, you should bust with a smile on your face most of the time because if you made a good decision and you're out of the tournament, yeah, it stings, but whatever, you made good decisions. Having the reaction of just anger at yourself for misplaying a hand, that's in my eyes, that's a good thing because what else is going to drive you to study that spot and become better and really like investigate yourself and kind of figure out what do I need to fix about my game. If you don't have motivations like that where you're really pissed off at yourself, you're just going to continue making mistakes. So first of all, I think that's a useful and positive reaction, even though it's obviously a negative reaction.
Painful but useful.
Yeah, painful but useful. And yes, sometimes when you know you really messed up, the following hour or 2 or 12 might not be the best time to dive into that because you're just so overwhelmed with emotion that you're not going to be learning anything anyway. But the good news is that when you make mistakes that sting that much, it's still going to sting the next day, but less. And then maybe next day, you can now kind of take a step back and look at the spot with kind of the curiosity that I think you wanted to, but were unable to right after.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, actually, I managed to go to bed not angry. I was listening to my book, enjoying it, and then I woke up pissed off again. Managed to get back to sleep, woke up pissed off again, and here we are.
So I would say good.
Yeah, yeah.
That now you can, or maybe a few hours from now or on dinner break, you can look at it with a still pissed off but kind of curious, fresh mind
Yeah.
and learn something, hopefully.
Tournament Savagery is 25 hours of structured tournament strategy by Nick Petrangelo and Daniel Dvoress. This course covers pre-bubble, bubble, in the money, and the final table broken down like never before. We also cover post-flop ICM, blind versus blind, and much more. Pre-order now for $9.99 and receive multi-way mastery by Isaac Haxton, plus 2 months of GTO Live Pro at no additional cost.
All right, on to happier topics. So on my third bullet, I turned around. You were right behind me, and I see Danny in the tank. When I say in the tank, I mean all your chips were in front of you and you weren't moving because Chance Kornuth was in the tank. Want to tell us about that hand? Because you are currently the chip leader, hoping to break this cashless streak, not get a second stone bubble, and
Why would you say that? That last part, like
it's the reverse jinx.
Sure, you're lucky. I don't believe in any of that shit.
That's fair. We were talking about manifesting things in the universe yesterday, though.
We were. Very interesting topic. I've actually off topic, but I have brought it up to several people.
Ask that question to the camera after. Tell us the Chance Kornuth hand.
All right. The Chance Kornuth hand, it's one of those hands which I kind of consider a non-hand. It's obviously a pivotal thing, but I think that had I been playing against myself or had we swapped seats, the money just would have gone in anyway. It's a rather simple spot. It's either, I believe it's hijack versus, it's hijack versus my big blind about 40 deep. I defend the big blind versus chances open. Check call something like B30 on ace 5-4
with ace 9.
And then turn is a 10, still rainbow board, I believe. Check, he B60s or B70s. I call river 9, so I make 2 pair. I check, he B60s, and there's like a min raise back or something. And I put it in, and he tank calls ace queen. So really, it's kind of a cooler in my eyes. I think if I were playing the hand against myself, I would always end up all in on the river as hijack. I probably would have sized turn and river a little bit differently and just ended up all in myself.
Mm-hmm.
But it is one of those hands where it's kind of a non-hand. Yeah, I got lucky on the river two pair, but clearly I can't fold flop or turn, and all the money should go in on the
Yeah.
river.
Let me ask you a question because his B60 on the turn seems like an interesting choice. I can see that on the 10 turn. Had the turn been a 9, would you call B60 a mistake? Not because you have ace 9.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those spots where it is a little bit technical in the way that spot breaks down, where the hijack has clear value hands that want to get a lot of money in. And if you're playing a strategy where you're mostly using smaller bet sizes, then you're not getting enough money in with your value hands. Is there space for doing things like widening your value range but lowering your bet size? So an example of that would be, on the 9 turn, just betting something like tens for that size a bunch. Sure, I wouldn't consider myself a particularly good villain to do that against. It's possible Chance has other ideas, but overall, I would say, yeah, I would call it a mistake just because there's not that much trickery at that node. It's kind of, yeah, you have a good hand a lot from the hijack, and you're going to have to check a lot of rivers with your good hands or not be able to get the rest of the money in on a lot of rivers where big blind will end up check folding something like 5-3 where you have a pair and a gutter, but now would just call B100 on the turn. So I think those things kind of add up where you're just leaving some money on the table.
Yep, makes sense. Well, we've got day 2 of this 150K in 30 minutes. You're going to try and take that chip lead and win it, and I'm going to try to not have a top 3 punt of the series with my 4th bullet.
John, we just talked about not setting results-oriented goals.
That's true.
My goal is not the chip lead; it's to play well.
I didn't say chip lead; it's to win.
You
You
can't.
are the chip leader.
They won't. Oh, I thought you meant like at the end of the day, bag the chip lead again.
Oh,
I can't win today. They won't
should do
let
that
me. It's
too.
a 3-day. What, you want me to just win a 5-way all in?
let me tell you, if Chance's hand held, he'd be trying to win today.
That part's true.
See you guys.